Back in of 2023 in January, I was strong. I was feeling great. I was pretty asymptomatic with everything, but I was having a little sensitivity with my stomach, and it was persistent. And I called my gastro, Dr. Sincor. She's an angel, and we become very close friends. And she really watches over me. And she was the one that first diagnosed the cancer. And she says, Barry says, let's go do a stool sample. I was like, doctor, I really need this. Yeah, just do it. Okay. So I do that. And then I remember getting the text as I was leaving my office in New Jersey to go travel. And she says, well, something came back a little suspicious, some insufficiency, pancreatic insufficiency. She says, I really want you to get a CAT scan. Now, in the process of doing that, I was booked for 2 weeks later to go to Puerto Rico, to go to Costa Rica. And remember, Tim, I was talking to you about, I was going to go to Costa Rica. Tony Robbins and I are good friends. And he says, Barry, you got to go to this RMI clinic. And I was going to do some stem cell work and some plasmapheresis, which, by the way, plasmapheresis is really, really important to do. So I was all booked, and I'd been booked months. And she says, go before. I said, okay, I'll go for a CAT scan. So Valentine's Day, I go for a CAT scan. And, 2 nights before, Rose and I were out at a concert. I was feeling great. So I was strong, working out, I was pretty fit, so I was pretty shocked when I got the results of the CAT scan. It just hit me like a ton of bricks that they found a mass that was big, 5 inches by 4 inches in my, it's called the mesentery root. Let's call it your abdomen area. And that was a shock. That was really, really hard. And now get this, I had booked that afternoon, a few hours later, for 3,000 people to do a webinar. You want to talk about sucking it up and trying to be a professional. I did the webinar and it was good, but it took every ounce of courage for me to compartmentalize the diagnosis I had just received and to do a good job on the webinar for those 3,000 people who were counting on me. I then went for subsequent PET CT. Now, PET CT measures, so cancer is uncontrolled growth and division of cells. And the way that a PET CT, positron emissions tomography, CT is computerized tomography. So CAT scan is computerized tomography, CT. What that measures is it measures your standard uptake value. That is how much glucose is being used in a specific area. Normal cells are about 1.5. I was 16.1, which is a high grade cancer. So we knew it was something different. We knew it was something new. And I knew I was in trouble. Then I had to go for a surgery for a biopsy. I had to have 4 surgeries in 30 days. The biopsy surgery was one where they discovered the pathology of it, and it is a double hit B-cell lymphoma is what I have. And that the survival rate's less than a year if it's untreated. And it is pesky. The treatment doesn't always result in what they call remission. And even after remission, it can come back. The chances of that are not insignificant. So then I had to go for bone marrow. Unfortunately, there was not bone marrow, so that was another surgery. Then I had to have surgery to get this port put in. And believe it or not, I had already had a eye surgery plan. So it was like, I had 4 surgeries in 30 days. It's crazy. And I worked the whole way through, right? So the treatment for this is called DA-EPOCH-R. DA stands for dose adjusted, and EPOCH-R, EPOCH is etoposide, prednisone, it's vincristine, and then you have doxorubicin and Cytoxin. So it's 6 drugs, and rituximab. So it's those 6 drugs. What has to happen with that is that it is 6 cycles of it, 3 weeks apart. And it's, for this type of cancer, 5 days of constant infusion. So at first, the Cleveland Clinic told me, well, you got to be in the hospital for those 5 days. Well, you don't have to be a mathematician and say, okay, 6 rounds, 5 days, that's 30 days in the hospital. I was panicking. I found a way to do it outpatient, where you have this, bag wrapped around. You might have seen, Tim, when I had that bag on the updates, and so I still work through the whole thing. It's heavy, it's big, and you sleep with the thing. It makes noise. Taking showers, which I have to do every night, is like gymnastics to kind of not get it wet, and this and that. It was not easy. And of course, then the week afterwards, you feel really awful. And Monday afterwards, they give you a shot of what's called Neupogen, which, because the toxins wipe out your immune system. And when that happens, you're very susceptible to stuff. So they try and get your white blood cell count back up. Well, this Neupogen, and the drug name's Udenica, what it does is it creates your bone marrow to work, but that's very painful. And the doctors don't tell you shit, even good doctors. I mean, they don't know. So, I was having pains in my chest that felt like a heart attack. And then my lower back was really bad. Now they'll tell you, take Claritin, take Tylenol, bullshit. That's like pissing in the wind. Nothing. But I found that ibuprofen, if you can tolerate ibuprofen, will manage this a lot better. So for a few days after, it doesn't hit you right away, but a few days later, you start to get these pains for a couple of days, and then it subsides, but it's very painful. And then you really start to feel the effects of the chemo. So, I'm not a complainer. And, I remember just sitting there, and my son, Dan, who was really good, would sit with me, and he'd say, Dad, he says, I could see you're struggling, because I wouldn't say anything. He says, describe it to me. And said, suffering would be the best description. And, we kind of laughed about it, but it's hard.